Welcome
to the Rustenburg Podcast.
If you've not had that before, welcome. Now you have had the new school song. How do you feel about that? Let me tell you before you answer me, my favorite part is the end where they say, "We are gold." That for me is like my favorite of all times.
It's so nice to hear it because I read the words.
Yeah.
But I've never heard it sung.
Yeah.
So it's so lovely to see it come together.
Yeah.
And to hear those young voices sing those words.
Let me tell you, I sit right in front of the window and I can see the girls play during break time. So yesterday I'm sitting there minding my own business, working hard like I always do, Mrs. Peterson. And I just hear this girl singing the school song from the top of their head, and it like sounded like a very mainstream song, like whoever, I don't know who's the latest famous artist, Miley Cyrus or whatever, but it sounded like an artist, like, and they were just singing it, and the melody was just playing in my head, and I think the music department did a beautiful job here. So, welcome, Philippa, again. I want to start firstly to, how did you first interact or get in touch with this space, this gold space?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It feels like ages ago, but also not.
Yeah.
So in 2012, my family, we returned from living in the Middle East. We'd been in Saudi Arabia and Qatar. I'd been a stay-at-home mom with my little guy. And we returned to South Africa and to Cape Town. It was my first time living in Cape Town. Lots of traveling here, but not living here. And it was time, with a 4-year-old, it was time to go back to work. And I saw an advert. I quickly researched the school because I'm not Cape Townian. I don't know the school. I thought, let's go and look. A lot had changed because new curriculum had come in.
Yeah.
And I hadn't been trained in it.
Yeah.
But I had worked in an American school, so a curriculum change was not something that I hadn't experienced, and I had no training before in going into an American system. And I thought, let me just go and see. And I had my interview, which we all speak about afterwards, because one of the people interviewing me apparently commented afterwards on the size of my feet.
Wow.
Being a tall girl, I clearly have quite big feet. But I was offered the position a few days later, which I was excited about. I'd never taught in an all-girls environment before.
Yeah.
So ended up coming here. Funny thing is, I think I was employed and signed my contract around about October.
Yeah.
A few months later, or a few
Which year
weeks
is this?
later, 2012.
2012, yes.
A few weeks later, diagnosed with breast cancer before
Yeah.
I'd started a new job.
Yeah, sure.
I came in and I saw the
Wait.
headmistress.
Okay, let's
Don't talk anymore. Stop. Okay.
wait. We'll get there. We'll
Okay.
get there. We'll get there.
Fine.
So, firstly, let's maybe then take it way back. Where were you born?
I was born.
You don't have to mention your year, age, and all of this. Let's
Sorry,
leave that.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to getting older.
Yeah.
I was born in a tiny little town called Impangeni in Zululand, KwaZulu-Natal.
Yes.
Grew up in small towns. I have moved around a lot.
Yeah.
Somebody asked the other day, where do you come from? And someone answered on my behalf and said she comes from everywhere.
Yeah.
Which I think is quite true. I've had a vast experience in living in different countries, different provinces of South Africa.
So you adapt easily.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
I quite enjoy change.
Yeah.
Which is not a normal human trait. Most people don't enjoy change.
Yeah.
And there is change that we don't like.
Yeah. They're afraid of change.
But I enjoy it.
It's
actually.
scary. It's scary.
It
Change
is scary. It
Yeah.
is. But it's also exciting.
Yeah.
Love change. So grew up in a tiny little farming community. Moved around a bit.
Yeah.
But grew up outdoors, running, playing, not being watched by adults.
Yeah.
Not overly structured
Sure.
days.
Yeah.
And I think that's had a big impact on my lifestyle now. Finished school in Impangeni and then went to Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University, which was then UPE, University of Port Elizabeth, back in the day when I went, and studied teaching.
Yeah.
And
Did you always have like some interest in teaching?
I've always enjoyed working with children.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I was a Sunday school teacher. So I think clearly it was in me.
Yeah.
Loved babies from when
Yeah.
I was tiny. Was the local babysitter of Impangeni.
Oh, wow.
So I have loved working with kids. So
Yeah.
I think there are always a variety of directions you can go.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was a surprising one.
Okay. And did you have a second option maybe if teaching didn't work out?
I was quite keen on doing occupational therapy.
Oh, wow.
Although, to be
Yeah.
honest, I don't think I was entirely sure on what that was. I
Yeah.
mean, when you're finishing school, maybe children nowadays, particularly girls, are quite knowledgeable about career
informed.
options. I had absolutely no idea.
It's funny how you mentioned like you were outside and you always loved playing and all of those things. Just recently we were having a conversation about the use of smartphones with kids and just taking away that time so that they can have that time to play and be kids. And instead of them just 24/7 in this digital world, you know. And now that you speak about it and you see the real impact, like, I mean, the conversation we had, I think, about 2 weeks ago about smartphones and kids and how it affects them. But when I sit here and I look at you and I listen to you, I'm like, actually, that conversation makes sense because kids should be kids and play and do all of those things. But again, we're moving in this ever-changing world. The Internet of Things, fourth industrial revolution. We're going to fifth now, and technology is so involved. Again, if you're not interacting with technology as a child, it takes away the coolness, and it's just a catch-22. What's your thoughts around that?
Although I'm not in education primarily as my day now, I still listen to a lot of podcasts, discussions around exactly those things because they interest me.
Yeah.
And I think it's a tough job being a parent.
Yeah.
But I think you drag those children outside. They'll
Yeah.
go kicking and screaming. And you take them into Newlands Forest if you're anywhere near Rustenburg.
Yeah.
And they will find things to do.
Yeah.
And they will play. And it is what they need.
Yeah.
They do not need
Yeah.
the cool stuff of time on phones, time on iPads.
Yeah.
Not close to as much as I think. And I'm a parent. I'm
Yeah.
guilty as anybody else. They don't need it.
Sure.
They need so little of it.
Yeah.
They need time in nature. Their little souls, I think, get tired quickly because their life is so rushed. It's so structured. It's this and then it's that. It's busy.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. And I think all of our souls,
Yeah.
big and little,
Yeah.
need time outdoors.
Sure. That is so true. Like, we just need to, like, just, sometimes I feel like I just want to be away from my phone, just put it away and just find myself again, because it's easy for you to, like, just get caught in. So anyway, let's go back to the story.
Yes.
Because
Let's not
I'm
get
sure there's like a lot of people who was like, Tapa, what are you doing? I was like, sorry, I was just getting to know Philip a little bit. Cool, yes.
So what are we?
Yeah. So you were speaking about, you were just employed at Rustenburg, and then
okay,
you
go
just
back
find
to
out.
that.
Yeah.
Yes. So I have taught subsequently to studying,
Yeah.
taught in a variety of schools, taught in Johannesburg in a private school, taught in a little government school in PE, Gqeberha, taught overseas in an American school, and then returned home. And as I say, came here. I was employed, got my employment, signed my contract. Last few months left at home to be a mom, getting a kid into school back in a new province, and then was diagnosed with breast cancer. And actually, it was on the very first day that I had to come into the school and meet my new class for the next year.
What grade are they?
They were grade 3s. So new school, new work environment, new little group of girls. I went up to the hospital possibly 2 hours before that to go and see what the results of my test were,
Sure.
my biopsy, and they were like, yep, it is breast cancer. Had a little vomit in the car park, and then came to school
Sure.
and met my new group of grade 3 girls.
Yeah. And new staff members as well.
New staff members popped into the headmistress's office.
Yeah.
And said, hi, so I've just met my group of girls. I also just wanted to let you know, I've just been diagnosed with breast cancer.
Sure.
I have no idea what next year is going to bring. I need to have chemo. I need to have surgery. And I just want to give you the option to say, thanks, Philippa, but no thanks. And totally understand that. I just want to give you a heads up. And it is the Rustenburg way.
Yeah.
To say, you are welcome anyway. Was welcome anyway.
I want to take it back a little bit, Philippa. That, what was your experience or knowledge around the topic of breast cancer? Did you do any screening yearly or?
Absolutely nothing at all. I was 35 years old. I had been told, and it is true, a breastfeeding mother reduces her risk of breast cancer. I had breastfed my son for the first year of his life. I, being 35 and honestly very healthy, it wasn't something that I thought about at all. But here's what I did know. I knew that if I ever were to feel something, I had the knowledge that it was important to have it seen to.
Yeah.
That I had, and that is a privilege.
Yeah.
That's privilege information to know, because it's not what every South African woman knows.
Not everyone knows.
I had the privilege of jumping into my own car and driving around the corner to a GP.
Yeah.
I had the privilege of a comprehensive medical aid.
Yeah.
I walked into the doctor knowing that I wouldn't struggle to pay.
Yeah.
I didn't have to wait days for my appointment. And I was sent for a mammogram on the very same day, knowing that it would be covered by my medical aid.
Sure.
You know, I didn't have a lot of knowledge around breast cancer, but I knew that if anything is found in my body, if I find anything that feels amiss,
Medically it will be taken care of.
it can be taken care of, and I knew that I needed to not let it be.
Yeah.
And I think that's important around any of our bodies, to know when there's a change, to know our bodies, and to take action, even though it's sometimes not what you actually want to do. You actually want to step back and ignore it.
Yeah.
Is to go, I need to actually have this seen too.
So you speak about the part that you knew that medically would be taken care of, right? But with this news and you studying in the new work environment, it comes the emotional part as well. It comes the new staff member needs to say hello to the kids, smile to the kids. The kids don't understand like adults. But also that emotional part of now, it has to either be, I don't know whether you disclose to a stranger, the principal. I'm sorry for your employer, let's rather put it that way, sorry. Yeah. The employer, right, which you don't have a personal relationship. It's not like the best friend and it's a safe space, you don't know. And there was also in your, from what you're saying, that you were giving Rustenburg the opportunity to say, no, thank you. So now you also mentally have to be prepared of losing this opportunity, right? Because you walk in to say, I'm giving you this information. If you'd understand. And what carried you that time from an emotional point of view?
Sure, that's such a good question. Because I don't know what the answer was. I think what the answer is. I think that initially, I think I was very wrapped up for the first few weeks in just pure fear.
Yeah.
You know, I had a 4-year-old, the fear of not being around. You go to all those dark places, you have to.
Yeah.
And so it took me a couple of weeks to come out of that fog of diagnosis, the initial, like, I've got cancer. I mean, I'm not somebody who would get cancer. We all think that about when things hit us. You know, I'm not that person that would be diagnosed with cancer. So I think it took a little while for me to kind of just get past that complete fear. And then I think that school and work and a new environment was a very good distraction for me.
Yeah.
You know, being at home all day with cancer is I think sometimes a tougher place to be. Yeah. Physically, it was really hard to teach and undergo treatment. I was absolutely shattered.
Yeah.
And I was also incredibly nauseous and I vomited a lot. And so physically it was a tough place.
Yeah.
But I think emotionally it was good for me to be here. I also had the most unexpectedly incredible journey with my group of grade 3s.
Wow.
Supportive, gracious, way beyond their years. Just an incredible group of girls. And the journey was special because I did it with them. And because I did it with the staff at the school who were amazing. You know, you go through physically, I had chemo and then I started January. And so within 2 weeks of my first day, my hair, the hair starts falling out. And so I had to have that conversation with the parents of the girls I was teaching. The first night I met them. Welcome to grade 3. Oh, and by the way, just so you know, they were amazing. There was never, if it was in their minds, they certainly never verbalized any concern. And then having that conversation with 9-year-old girls. Girls, I need to show you something, and kind of put my hand through my very long hair at that time and pulled out a big wad of hair and said, look, I need to tell you that this is what's going on. And as children do, they were just, okay, wow, shocked, but okay, here we go. And we walked that journey together. And they were incredible. And I always remember I didn't ever have to tell them that I was not feeling great. So I'd have chemo on a Wednesday and I'd come back to school Thursday, Friday, and those days were, I wouldn't recommend doing it. They were really, really hard. I was so nauseous and so much vomiting, and the only thing that I could do was drink Coke or cream soda. And they knew when they saw that on my desk that I was probably not feeling great. And I never had to ask them to be gentle with me. Ever. They just had this intuition to go gently on me. They were incredible. Honestly, it was a huge part of my journey, was that group of girls.
And you were spending I think, more time with them than, obviously, I'm thinking when you're in a school environment, you've got break, first break, second break, but most of the time you are in the classroom. And you would think kids, they don't understand. But I think in my journey being at Rustenburg, it has taught me that they've got brains. They can use them. They know how to think. And it's quite beautiful because sometimes they're quite inquisitive. Sometimes they ask what you call the wrong questions, but it's not mocking or anything. It's just that they want the knowledge and understanding differently, as you speak to them. And sure, it's quite nice that they were actually there. Do you know where any of them is?
Some of them I see, and I very distinctly remember. It was a while ago now.
Yeah.
And I bump into them every now and then, or bump into their parents, who were equally as supportive during that year.
Yeah.
And it's great. And sometimes maybe 2 years ago, bumped into one of the mums who said to me, I was recently diagnosed with breast cancer, and I so often think back to the year when my daughter journeyed with you, and through that, and it's been helpful to see that you came out on the other side, because there's always hope for anyone when you see that actually sometimes, often treated early enough, you can come out on the other side. It's obviously not everybody, but it does happen a lot. And it's nice to see that. I think it gives one hope.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes you don't know what happened outside of that, but you kind of hear those stories and you're like, oh, cool, that's great.
And then I want to take it a little bit, so outside a bit. So you are in a professional space. You've got the support from staff members, from parents, from the Rustenburg community, from the girls. But at the end of the day, you still have to go home. And you have to interact with the 4-year-old and family and friends and anyone outside of this space. How was that for you?
It wasn't difficult.
Yeah.
I think having a 4-year-old is energy sapping when you're well. It was completely energy sapping when I was not feeling great. But again, I think a distraction outside of yourself is helpful. It certainly was helpful for me.
Yeah.
My little guy was amazing.
Yeah.
And I think I'm also grateful that he was 4, because when you're 4, you don't understand the seriousness. I was obviously open. He knew that I had cancer. He knew the days I was going for chemo.
Yeah.
He'd bring all his stuff and gather it on the bed on days that I'd had chemo so that he could be with me and read. We'd read and do those things. So he definitely knew that life was a little bit different to normal.
Yeah.
But he didn't quite grasp the potential seriousness, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
I think it spared him. If it was a 10-year-old or a 14-year-old, there's a lot deeper understanding about the potential outcome.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to bear that.
And that mental impact on him at school would be like distractions and all of those things.
It is hard, yes. And I had his grandparents who were in Cape Town who would come and fetch him sometimes for a weekend and just let me sleep. And I think family is obviously so important to your well-being during a time when it's difficult.
Sure. So now we're speaking about the support structure, right? I love it. So from a professional point of view, at work, you're fine. You've got the support structure. At home, you've got the support structure. How do you get in contact with ILoveBoobies? Because I think also that part plays a huge role in your healing, but obviously you'll tell me the story.
Yeah, so actually it was quite a while after.
Yeah.
It was about 5 years after I had been diagnosed. So I'd walked the journey, I'd had the mastectomy, I'd had all the things. And quite honestly, I was well and healthy and life had gone very much back to normal. But I think over those 5 years, the one thing I struggled with was reflecting on it, thinking about cancer. Yeah. Not necessarily talking about it. I was happy to talk to people that had questions, but I didn't really want to reflect on me and cancer. Yeah. Because it's like the wound is still, for me, for a long time was, I think you could just scratch from the surface and it was there. The, oh gosh, the fear and the what if and all the things that go with it. So I didn't engage in anything regarding breast cancer. I just wanted life to go back to normal. Yeah. And then I was doing a mountain bike race, and I came in on my bicycle, and I saw an ILoveBoobies sticker on the back of somebody's bucky.
Yes.
And I thought, wow, because it raises an eyebrow.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought nobody does that without some kind of cause being behind it, surely.
Yeah.
And I immediately went home and Googled it.
Oh, lovely.
And I came across ILoveBoobies as an organization.
Yeah.
Did a little bit of research. I was still teaching here.
Mm-hmm.
Did a bit of research into the work that they did.
Wow.
And felt like it really aligned with how I felt about potentially where I could somehow get involved in that area again, because I felt I was ready.
Yeah.
And so I applied to become an ambassador for them. Didn't quite know exactly what that meant, but applied, and they were like, yes, please, welcome on board.
Yeah.
And kind of that was how the association with ILoveBoobies started.
Sure. Let's speak about I Love Boobies, the name, the concept. I really love it. It's very catchy, easy to remember, not very difficult, and I think there's quite a deeper meaning into it, right? It's important to love your breasts. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the right words to phrase it. But like, when I think about ILoveBoobies and when I first got in contact with it, I remember Pam saying to me, like, I got you a ILoveBoobies, what do you call that thing?
A buff.
A buff, yes.
Okay.
I got you a ILoveBoobies buff. I was like, what did you get me? Something she got me. Because I had boobies and I had buff. I was like, okay, what is that? And then she gave me, and then I was like, thank you. Then I also, and then she started sharing that, no, we support this project, blah, 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 and Philippa and all of those things. But the name, I'm quite interested to find out, where does the name come from?
So I wasn't involved with ILoveBoobies when it originally started around 2016.
Yeah.
And there isn't really a definitive story about how it, suddenly came up. I've asked, and there isn't really there was this one moment. It kind of just came.
Yeah.
But it raises an eyebrow.
Yeah.
And that is the point.
Yes.
We want people to be able to talk about breast cancer. And when you kind of make it fun and funny and it kind of gets you talking and giggling and all those things, it helps to make the conversation a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Because you've had a little bit of a laugh and then, a bit embarrassing. And then, it's about breast cancer.
Yeah.
Okay, so what exactly do they do? So I think the name helps to take the kind of, I want to say stigma, but also the uncomfortability around talking about hard things like boobs.
Yes.
Out of it, and I'm sitting here listening to you going, ILoveBoobies, and how cool that you can say that.
Yes.
That you don't feel like you can't. And because I think that name helps to give people, at least at the outset, the opportunity to have that conversation.
Okay. Now let's speak about, I should have actually asked this first before anything. What is ILoveBoobies?
Right. So we are a non-profit company, and we provide free breast cancer screenings for women in under-resourced communities. Yeah. So essentially this means ladies that don't have medical aid.
Yeah.
What we do is we take our screening team to farms, warehouses, packing houses, places where women are employed. Very often, these ladies are employed on a daily wage, a weekly wage. They're sometimes seasonal workers, so they don't have permanent employment. Yeah. So they are not ladies that necessarily put themselves first when it comes to their health. Yeah. They are women who, given the choice of putting food on the table for their children at the end of the day or having a lump seen to, are going to choose to rather give their children food. Yeah. They are also often ladies that don't always know that something in your body that's feeling a bit amiss actually needs to be seen to. Yeah. That education around breast health in particular, because that's what we deal with, is not always there. So it's partly a screening women, but also an education. Because whilst we say 1 in 8 women will have breast cancer in their lifetime, it's not 1 in 8 at the time that we see them. It's within the course of their life. So while we're at a screening, we will pick up anomalies. Yeah. About 6 to 10% of the women will have something that needs to be seen to. Yeah. but many of them won't, which doesn't mean that it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It is over the course of a lifetime. We're seeing them for a tiny moment in their lives.
Yeah.
So that education to carry them forward is a big part of what we do. But we screen women. Anyone who is, the education will happen, and then the nurse will examine each of the ladies individually. We have privacy gazebos. In buildings is great to do, but not always where we go, not always an option.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're putting your gazebo up. It has sides. It's completely private. In a farm yard, on a big piece of grass, in the middle of a warehouse, anywhere to create a private space.
Yeah.
And the nurses then examine each of the women, teaching them how to do a self-exam at the same time. And then we have incredible radiology partners.
Yeah.
And so any of the women who are seen to have an anomaly or come with a concern around their breast health are referred for a free mammogram, which is donated by our radiology partners.
Wow.
Across the Western Cape is SCP Radiology and Winelands Radiology. We also screen in the KZN, in the Midlands area, and we refer to Kaufman Radiology, who provide this service free of charge for any of the ladies that we refer. Thereafter, the usual process is if anything untoward still is something of a concern, a lady will generally need a biopsy.
Yeah.
And then potentially surgery, treatment, etc. And so then we refer them into our state system.
Yeah.
And we'll book their appointments for them. Try to liaise with their employer to get them there, which is why we like to go to farms and places where there are employers, somebody who can oversee it.
Yeah.
And who we can trust to ensure that those ladies will be taken for their appointments. And then we'll feed them into the state system.
Sure. So why is it maybe important then to bring awareness and educate even like the girls at a very at this early age, you know?
I think it does several things. From my experience of being in this environment, you were saying just now, children ask questions that are not rude, but they are absolutely, I want to know the answer to this, and I don't need to filter out what I need. They will just ask the question.
Yes.
And yes. So I remember this tiny little grade R looking up at me on playground duty one day going, "Are you the breast cancer girl?" I was like, "That is me, and you called me girl, and I'm way past girlhood, so yes. Thank you." But those questions. And I think being in this environment and being able to talk about ILoveBoobies and whatever else it is, it just makes those conversations easy.
Yeah.
So yes, it's about breast health. Yes, it's not really relevant to a little girl who is 9, 10, 12 yet.
Yeah.
But if we can have these conversations when we're that age and we carry that with us, then when I do find something one day, or I'm supporting my mom, my best friend's mom, my granny, my auntie, it's not something my family can't talk about.
Yeah.
We can talk about it. We can talk about everything that goes along with a breast cancer journey.
Yeah.
And it just helps to open those doors and make those conversations around breast cancer and around a lot of difficult, whether it's medical, mental health. Let's open the doors to have hard conversations about things that affect people. I think there's value in that.
Yeah.
I've seen that value in this environment. So it's not just about what affects them right now.
Yeah.
It's about life and the stuff that's going to affect us.
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to the conversation that when we spoke about like, what was your exposure to breast cancer? Did you have any knowledge? And when you're giving them the information, the knowledge, it's really power. It's often said knowledge is power. So they know how to navigate around it. They know how to have those conversations because we've created a safer environment that says we can have this conversation. So what are some of the projects that Rustenburg has been involved with, particularly the girls and with our ILoveBoobies?
I can say that it's been many years of an association, which has been incredible. I think Rustenburg they're our school.
Yeah.
ILoveBoobies is a school in terms of the ongoing support is amazing. So what they've been involved in is over the years, a variety of different things. We've often done a pink day, and I know you've done a PinkTober this year, where girls are given the opportunity to dress in pink. which again is another thing that opens the door. Why are we dressing in pink? Let's have that conversation. That's a gift that you're giving. That's real education.
Yeah.
They have purchased some of our merchandise. So ILoveBoobies sells a lot of activewear and different sorts of merchandise, but socks are one of our big things because socks are not a huge expense.
Yeah.
It is the receipt for your donation. So you donate, you buy a pair of socks, you get to wear them. They say ILoveBoobies on them somewhere. You get to have conversations with people, and you support our screening program.
Yeah.
So every 5 pairs of socks that we sell enables us to screen one woman.
Wow.
And Rustenburg, for many years, has been supporting the sale of socks, ILoveBoobies, buffs sometimes we've done. As you said, we've got a buff. We've changed it up some years. They've done bra collections. We have a gently used bra collection project, which is just coming to an end.
Yep.
All of our gently used bras are repackaged, and they are gifted to the ladies that we screen.
Yeah.
So Rustenburg's been involved in that over time. And I think many individual people have had their support through their girls, through their exposure, staff members, in the various ways that they've chosen to support it and be part of the different initiatives that we have.
Sure. So I want to now take this conversation a little bit different. So when it's all said and done, when it's game over for Philippa, when everything is done now, how would Philippa like to be remembered?
Sure. That's a tricky thing to answer. You know, you spoke about passion before we started, and I think that's the thing for me. I always want to be passionate about the things that I'm doing. And not everything of every day is something you be passionate about. Let's be real, we have limited energy.
Yeah.
But I would love to be remembered as somebody who gave everything into what I was doing at the time.
Yeah.
That thing in time can change. And as somebody who enjoys change, I like to change it up.
Yeah.
So whether I'm teaching, whether I'm involved with ILoveBoobies, wherever life takes me, I hope that I do it with my whole heart.
Yeah. 100% in on nothing at all. So, in closing, and I wanted to speak about a lot of things. I wanted to speak about the passion. I wanted to speak about everything that when I see you, when you touch it, it turns into gold. It's never half done, you know. And I'm like, it's year end. People have year end fatigue, but even in December, you give in 250, and the conversation could go on and on and on and on. But what is your closing remarks?
I love that you see that in me.
Yeah.
I think the reality is I crash at the end of the night, and the reality is we all live our lives, and you see a part of me and I see a part of you in a day, right? So I think, being realistic about that, you know, our passion, our energy does definitely saps. The end of October in a breast cancer organization, I am feeling shattered at the moment. But I'm so glad you're not seeing too much of it. But I think as a closing remark, gosh, I don't know what I would say as a closing remark, but I think I'm so grateful for how journeys link themselves together.
Yeah.
How I'm sitting at Rustenburg today, where I started in 2013 as a teacher and taught here for 10 years.
Yeah.
And here I am linking the different parts of my life together. How lucky am I?
Yeah.
That's cool. I think that's beautiful, and I'm grateful for it.
Yeah.
I really am. So thank you.
Cool. Lastly, we're going to do socials. Where can people find a lot of more information regarding ILoveBoobies, whether they want to donate, partner, or any other information? So
a good place of information about what we do, how we do it, and also to have a look at our online store is our website, iloveboobies.co.za.
Perfect.
That's a good place to see what events we're also doing, because we're involved in a lot of events, particularly around being active.
Yeah.
On Instagram, ILoveBoobies_ZA. It's a good place. On Facebook, all the usual social media places you will find us. Yeah. But I would say those would be your go-to sources for anything around what we're up to.
Cool. Thank you very much, Philippa.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time and coming to have a chat with us.
Loved chatting to you.
Cool. There you go. another episode of Rustenburg Girls Junior podcast with Philippa. It was so amazing. I enjoyed every moment. Please, when you bump into her, when you see her, please tell her that there is an opportunity to have grade 3D, and we're looking for a teacher. We're looking for someone to come back. Yeah, cool. Thank you. Catch you on the flip side. There we go. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.